Hi, it's Courtney with Squire Studio Suburban Micro Farm and Garden, and I'm here with my April garden tour. I am so on par with last year, waiting for the last week of the month to do my garden tour. But here we are, and I'm excited to show you guys around and show you everything that's growing. Unfortunately, I didn't get to do a March tour, which I should have, but you know, procrastination kicked in, so I didn't get to show off any of my daffodils. If you follow me on TikTok, then you did get a little bit of a glimpse of daffodils, but they're all fading now. But hopefully I'll be able to stay up with doing my garden tour once a month. So stay tuned and let's take a look around. So here is a full view of the garden for April of 2022. On the flower path there at the front is where a majority of my daffodils were, and so a lot of them I was able to pick and sell at my flower stand. And here's how the rest of the yard is looking. And we're gonna start right over here with the Johnny Appleseed organic grow bag, and then just work our way all the way back towards the left. So this is the Johnny Appleseed organic grow bag that I'm growing for the Johnny Appleseed Organic Gardening Invitational for the most exquisitely curated container arrangement. So in here I have nasturtiums, and this is actually my first year growing nasturtiums, but I decided to go ahead and go for it because they're so beautiful. Here in this almost said corner, but this is round. In this portion of the bed, I have a few of these red gladiolas, so I'm waiting for those to sprout. The thing that I noticed about this is that it does kind of dry out quickly, so I do need to mulch it a little bit better and then make sure I stay on top of the watering. For a little while, the nasturtiums were looking pretty sad, but I think that they're bouncing back quite nicely. And then right here on the cattle panel trellis, this is also my first year growing these. Well, I actually started them last year in 2021. I started these are sweet peas. The variety is called Sweet Dreams. And I started these in August of 2021. They overwintered really nicely. They withstood cold, freezing temperatures, and even 2 snows. And here they are producing so beautifully, and they smell amazing. So in this bed, I have peppermint here on the side. Some of it is actually starting to creep out of the bed, but I'm totally okay with that because I plan on using the peppermint for flower arrangements as well as selling it at the farmer's market. And then I have spinach and 1 carnation plant right here. This is a raised bed that's right across from the one I just showed you with the sweet peas. Here I have a sedum, a ranunculus, some leftover gladiolus corms, and then lots and lots of spinach, 2 pickling cucumbers next to the trellis, along with 2 Berries Crazy cherry tomato plants, and they're just starting to get their very first blooms. And then coming underneath the arch trellis, we have more sweet peas here on this side. I am in love with the way that these are growing and blooming. I expected them to produce prolifically, but I literally had no idea just how abundant sweet peas would be. And then on this side, I have a couple failed transplants of cucumber plants. So then I actually also direct seeded some. And then I have 1 Berries Crazy cherry tomato plant in there as well. And then coming around to this side of the raised bed, I have a couple more sedums. There's some lemon balm growing in here as well, and then some anemones. In this raised bed, I have aroma tomato, some snapdragons from last year, and then a couple of lettuce plants, and 2 mounds where I have direct seeded some pickle bush cucumbers.
And the star of the whole garden.
Okay, so in this large raised bed, is where I have some ranunculus. The ones that I have planted here are doing really well, so that's just a note to self. The ranunculus are doing really well in this raised bed. I also have some pro-cut sunflowers here at the front. I did originally have ranunculus all the way through the bed, but those actually rotted. So I'm talking about how good the ranunculus are doing. The ones that survived are doing really well. And then I put pro-cut sunflowers here at the front, and then in the back corner I put a pink banana squash, and that's probably the one that's doing the best out of all the pink banana squashes that I've planted in my garden. And I planted at least 5 plants, and that one's doing the best. Here I created a strawberry patch at the base of this ash tree. It's really weedy right now, so it needs to be weeded, and the strawberry plants are still trying to make a comeback, but a couple of them have some teeny tiny strawberries. And then along this trellis here, I have planted 4 dahlias, and this one is actually starting to bloom. So it's about the end of April, and we're getting our very first dahlia bloom. I've interplanted tons and tons of radishes here next to the dahlias, and behind them are some Kentucky Wonder pole beans. So this bed right here is kind of in limbo. I have a ton of tatsoi here that I'm just letting go to seed, and then I am planning on collecting the seeds so I can have some acclimated Asian greens, because they seem to bolt pretty quickly in this area. So I figure if I have some that are already acclimated, they'll grow a lot larger than they normally would. Also have a couple of ranunculus, poppies, and some sunflowers in this bed as well. So here we have another Johnny Appleseed organic grow bag. I planted 2 of the pink banana squash here. You can no longer tell because they have burnt up. So I'm learning as time goes on what I can and can't plant in these, as well as like what the microclimate is. This is a cement retaining wall, so a lot of heat radiates off of this. And if you've seen my garden tours before, you've seen me mention this microclimate in this particular area. It's pretty warm. So I do have a pomegranate planted there and a pomegranate planted there, and they love the really hot microclimate of this area. The pink banana squash, not so much. So I also have nasturtiums, 2 nasturtiums here that have managed to survive the heat radiating off this wall. So I'm gonna have to kind of do some experimentation and figure out what warm weather loving crops I can plant here. I did direct seed some bush cucumbers, so those are direct seeded, and I'll just have to remember to keep on top of the watering so that they can germinate, and then we'll see how they do. This is my currant bush. I planted this 2 years ago, and this will be the first year that we get fruit. The flowers were super cute. They came on at the beginning of March, and so the flowers have all faded, but if you come in close, you can see the tiny little berries. I'm super excited for when the berries are ripe to pick, because I've never had currants before, so I'm excited to see what they taste like and to have a perennial source of fruit in our yard. So this is Spanish lavender, and it is in full bloom. I think I need to watch a video on how to better prune these, because I didn't do it correctly last year. Last year I just plucked off the flowers, which was sufficient, but there's some dead wood in here that now I have to be concerned about getting rid of. So I'm going to figure out how to prune these correctly, and then also save the flowers and dry those. They smell really nice. In this raised bed, I have some lemon balm, a few pro-cut sunflowers here planted at the front, along with lots of daffodils that have already been harvested. We have some chamomile and some romaine lettuce. Start of my 10-foot flower beds. I call these all my flower beds. They're 10 feet long and 3 feet wide, and I have 4 of them. Over here I have some butter crunch lettuce, one of the pink banana squash, a couple calendula, volunteer sunflower. This is calendula as well, and a pansy. This is an opium poppy, or it's also called the Polish flag poppy. And then more butter crunch lettuce and some sunflowers and tiny carnations right there. So this is all garlic. All of this garlic came from 3 heads of garlic. So we'll have lots and lots of garlic this year, and my goal is to be able to take some to the farmer's market. I think I direct seeded some radishes here, but I can't remember. We'll know in a few weeks. And these are Shasta daisies. And I also have a tiny little comfrey here that someone gave me. These Shasta daisies, there's like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's like 6 plants right here, but these were all divided from 2 plants that I grew in one of the raised beds last year. So this actually all came from one plant, and then the other one I divided and planted in the front gardens. So these are growing really nicely, and I do believe I'll get many more flowers than I got last year, because last year I only got 2 flowers. So I should definitely get a lot more than I got last year. There's a couple of red onions growing back here, and then some lettuce interplanted with the onions. So in this flower bed, this down here is some Swiss chard. Actually, I think it's going to seed. Yeah, it is. We have some Swiss chard here going to seed. I have 1 zucchini plant, some butter crunch lettuce, a little bit more Swiss chard. There's some carrots here, some straw flowers that I originally thought had died, but then they came back. I have some Lunix lettuce, more anemones right here, and then a couple Roma tomato plants. And these are just starting to get flowers developing. So they have their very first set of flowers here on April 24th. And in this final flower bed, we have, oh, see, I'm discovering things as I tour the garden because I haven't been out here today. We have a radish that's going to seed. I've never seen a radish go to seed before, so, well, actually, no, I take that back. I saw a radish go to seed last year, but I forgot. And this is what a radish going to seed looks like. I think I'll actually save these seeds. We have a couple ranunculus here, and then 2 rows of romaine lettuce, along with some recently planted out pro-cut sunflowers. Also a random daffodil that I thought, I had planted daffodils here, decided I didn't want them here, and dug them up, and I missed one. So there's one still there. So in this bed, I call these my market beds. These are all about 7 feet long and about, they range anywhere from 30 to 40 inches wide. Along this back portion, I direct seeded a few sugar baby watermelon. We have some snapdragons and some spent daffodils and some ranunculus here as well. I forgot I planted the daffodils here and then came in with ranunculus, so you shouldn't really mix your bulbs like that, but I did. So they're both here. The ranunculus haven't started blooming, but the daffodils are all spent, and then the snapdragons, a couple of them are starting to bloom right now. I planted a couple rows of carrots here along the edge of this bed where I have the chamomile. So I put down this sheer curtain panel to help protect the carrots and lock in moisture so that the soil doesn't dry out and they can germinate evenly. There's no germination yet. The soil is actually kind of dry under here. And then here's the chamomile. It's so lovely. I found out that here in zone 8B, this chamomile should perennialize, so I'm excited to see if it does or not. Planted alongside the chamomile, I have some Berry's Crazy Cherry tomatoes, and I have trellised them up the trellis to make you jealous system. So I'm eager to see how well they grow up this cotton twine. And then these Berry's Crazy Cherry also are starting to get their first set of blooms. And then if you'll come in close, you can see beyond these weeds, I have also interplanted some lettuce here at the base of the chamomile to help keep the soil cool and shaded. And I think it's doing a nice job. Okay, so on this cattle panel trellis, where we have our trellis to make you jealous, we also have tomatoes growing on this side as well. So I'm going to try to grow tomatoes up both sides. Both kinds of tomatoes that I have planted are indeterminate. The ones on this side are a red cherry tomato. And then I also have some surprise lilies here at the base. I don't know what variety these are, but these are some bulbs that I missed when I was digging them up. And I'm glad that I did, because my lily bulbs actually died, and so I wasn't able to replant them. So I do have about 4 or 5 of them coming up now. So I'm excited to see how these do. And they're interplanted with more of that red Lunix lettuce here at the base of the tomatoes. And then we have our sweet peas, sweet dreams, sweet peas, sweet dreams growing up this cattle panel. These are some carrots. This is my first time growing this amount of carrots. I grew just a few in the other bed, and germination was kind of spotty over there. Over here, germination has been really nice, so I need to figure out how to thin these the most efficient way so we can get a few carrots. And then I also have all these tatsoi that have also gone to seed. The bees have really been enjoying the flowers. Okay, and then right here is another succession of the sweet dream sweet peas, and it's succession of snapdragons. This is just a mix that I got from the Dollar Tree, and I will forever get this mix as long as they're selling it, because it has grown so well for me, and the variety of colors is really nice. On this side of the cattle panel, the sweet peas, their growth has been a little bit more spotty, so it's definitely not as full and far along as these. But I'm still going to let them go for a little bit, and then once they're done for the season, I'll probably plant a warm season cucurbit that I can trellis up, maybe like loofah or cucumber or even a squash. This is my favorite area of the garden currently. I have deemed this my flower path, and these all here are harvested daffodils. It looked really pretty when they were all blooming. I also have a pink banana squash that I planted right behind this poppy. So this is another one of those Polish flag poppies, and then I planted the pink banana squash behind there. There's a volunteer sunflower here, and then back here is a beautiful plethora of snapdragons. So these are my snapdragons that I have here on the flower path. These I actually sowed at the end of summer last year, and it's true what they say. If you can let your snapdragons overwinter from a fall planting, they will grow in the spring super tall and super strong. So the stems most of them have been super long and very strong, and then just a few of them have been a little bit shorter like this. But the plants are really healthy, and they've pushed out more blooms than my late winter sowing. And then here along the front, I have a succession of Pro Cut Orange Sunflowers. So that's how my garden is looking right now here at the end of April. I'm really pleased with how things are coming along. I hope to grow a lot more tomatoes than what I have out now, as well as a lot of cucumbers. So stay tuned to see if I actually am able to accomplish that, and stay tuned as well to see how the different things I'm growing for the Johnny Appleseed Organic Gardening Competition are coming along. And until next time, keep learning and keep growing.